Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. What's happening with ship and vehicle customization? Why did a load of players have 0 Alpha UEC, the in-game currency, when they logged in the other day? What's happening with the Ares Starfighter? All that and more will be talked about in this Star Citizen dev response video. We used to have quite diverse shields and components for ships and vehicles, and now they're largely carbon copies of each other as Cloud Imperium sort of brought them back to a base and basic level so that they could then build on some other tech and features and didn't have to worry about their balance. But how long are we going to be in the sort of stage where we have no real sort of diversity and customization options between the different sizes of components? So there was a thread. Will we ever get our weapons and shield customization back, CIG? With the original poster saying, seriously, it's been a year. It's been a year since they removed the interesting and fun nuances from weapons and shields, and it's seriously boring to not have the option of customizing your ship besides your quantum travel speed. It takes Star Citizen back several years to the time when components didn't exist. I'm tired of seeing this. All manufacturers producing exact carbon copy products of each other kills immersion when it comes to kitting out ships. For rebalancing is a fine excuse for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. It's closing on a year. Please bring variety back to weapons and shields. Cloud Imperium Games' Yogi Clat responded to this. I'll try to explain the state of customization for the ship components and why seemingly nothing has changed in the last year. When we introduced the archetype tuning, which included streamlining all component sizes, it allowed to reset the tuning of all components. The game had quite drastically changed over the years, and a lot of moving parts like ship item balance couldn't really keep up over time. Streamlining all components was a necessary evil to regain control over the balance in the game. It also allowed us to get rid of a lot of balance offenders like shield generators that were just better than others without having meaningful downsides. And remember, we want pros and cons for every ship item. At the moment, that state, let's call it the archetype state, is still what we have because our current focus has not been on polishing the persistent universe, but on getting core flight mechanics and combat experience in a better shape for the future persistent universe and Squadron 42. That might sound like not much, but it is a huge task containing drastic changes. It will also dictate a lot of changes for the components and their balance numbers. Staying in the archetype state for components allows us to iterate faster. Here is a somewhat simplified recent example. We're trying out variations on combat gameplay where the power triangle assignment has less effects on the shield regen, but acts stronger on the resistance to minimize the need for micro-adjusting during combat. If we had a lot of shield generator variances, it would mean that in order to test this out, we'd need to update the game data of all of our 60-something shield generators. That's a lot of files to adjust, and we'd need to do that for every iteration. Instead, we'd rather deal with only 5 generator archetypes, 1 for each size, until we figured out what kind of core changes we want. Creating variations is a follow-up task which should be done once we're happy with the core gameplay loop. A similar situation exists for weapons. We've known for a while what kinds of properties we want the vehicle weapons to have. We have a big Excel spreadsheet that lists which weapons are supposedly good against X or Y. We could spend a couple of weeks to get the weapon data updated to get all the variation. However, we also know that the above mentioned other changes will inevitably require a rebalance of application numbers, velocities, fire rates, etc. So instead of updating all the items at once and needing to maintain them over every release, we opted for the approach of reducing complexity for the time being as it's more manageable. As to why it's been more than a year, that's just the reality on how long design and engineering can take. Our above-mentioned focus was actually established shortly after 3.14, and a good chunk of work that has happened since then has not been seen in the eye of the public yet. You may read the monthly reports to get a few glimpses, but that's as much as I can say at this point. Anyways, to sum it up, this all does of course not mean that variations will not come back. Of course they will come back, just like we want meaningful variations with pros and cons, etc. But we have to pick the right time to minimize costs and impacts on the rest of the project. And that time is not now. So the archetype state will have to prevail a bit longer until those bigger things are resolved. That was great to hear from Cloud Imperium there. Now, I think ship customization, along with physicalized components, physicalized damage, and all that sort of jazz, is so important for the game. I would spend hours in EVE Online outfitting ships, and I would like a similar, if not better, experience of outfitting ships and tweaking them and trying to make a ship fit for purpose, fit for a particular mission, or try and make cheap ships or whatever in Star Citizen. And I want to see all those variances. I want to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of components for each individual sort of range of ships. And I think that answer from Cloud Imperium was pretty reasonable, which is, look, it's alpha at the moment, effectively, and we want to be able to iterate as quickly as possible on getting features out. We don't want to keep on having to balance and rebalance stuff because, yes, we're running a live sort of instance of the game, but we actually do want to make progress. And I think that sort of makes sense. Yes, I think everyone wants diversity in components ASAP back in the game because effectively we've been given less, not more, but they are advancing a lot of the tech and sort of the gameplay because of this, and it's sort of essential for that. So I'm interested to know what people think about that, and when do you think we'll see physicalized components in game? When do you think we'll see diversity in components again, and that sort of customization? There are also some zero alpha UEC issues, which have since been resolved. But so players the other day, over the last few days in fact, have been sort of jumping into game and not having any alpha UEC on their accounts. They're, what? I've got no money. What's going on? There was a thread about this. So first players are awarded a huge amount of alpha UEC for participation, only to then be reduced. Then they add 1 million alpha UEC, and now it's set to 0. What's the deal? Did I miss something? This apparently is due to some sort of bug that Cloud Imperium have, as I said, now fixed. But the Cloud Imperium did say, I'm happy to inform you that the issue has been fixed, and all alpha UEC bank accounts that were affected by this bug have been adjusted. Bam. That's good to hear. Weird problems over the last few days with alpha UEC and wallets. Hopefully no one's having that problem now. Ares work for Alpha 3.18 was another thread that I saw, and I think there's a lot of improvements that can be done for the Ares, especially the Ion. I want it to be more of a sniper-ish ship, though I don't want it to be like hit scan. I don't want it to be one shot insta melt any like small fighters and stuff. It does need to be a bit of balance there. Cloud Imperium have done the best they sort of can in the short term, I think, sort of. There's always maybe slightly better things you can do, and there's always things that might make a few more people happy, but in the short term, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with the Ares issues. However, the original poster on this thread said, you told us that you're experimenting with the Ares at the moment. Can you give us some new info on how that's going, and if it's intended that at least anything will change about its state for Alpha 3.18? YogiClat responded, no news, I'm afraid. We didn't have time to resolve the UI issues that were needed for the Ion weapons, and priorities have changed, so we're now focusing on overall combat experience, flight tuning, gunnery, weapon balance, etc. That is quite a substantial task, and due to that, we will minimize further specific ship work until that's done. So the Ares will be looked at again, but don't expect any changes in Alpha 3.18. There was a follow-up question. You mentioned turning on fix assist again, at least a little. Wouldn't this small fix be worth to test for a cycle? If it turns out to be OP again, it can always just be switched off. YogiCat again responded, definitely not without further testing internally, which hasn't happened on our side yet, and probably won't be for a while due to other priorities. We are, though, currently working on gunnery changes, and that includes a review of the nudging freedom of all weapons. I can't promise that the Ares weapons will change, though. Size 7s are not anti-fighter guns, so my gut feeling is that there's a chance we might just dial back the aim assist for all of them. We'll see, I'm not sure yet. So that was a bit of an insight into some of the priorities for Cloud Imperium at the moment. They're not doing sort of individual ship balance really at the moment. Obviously they will if something's super overpowered, whatever, especially at the moment for the Ares. They think it's an okay place to sort of continue the game with. They're looking more at the combat fight experience in general and making sure that nothing's mega broken. Not going into any of the detail of any specific ships because it would take too much time to really balance them out, and we're waiting for loads of tech like physicalized components and all that sort of jazz before the need for them to be super balanced anyway. Just nothing should be OP. And I do think that Cloud Imperium is sort of right going, look, size 7 weapons that are on the Ares, at least the Ares Ion, they're not really supposed to be used as anti-dogfighting ships. They're not supposed to be able to pick dogfighters out, which is an interesting one. But I'm interested to know what you think. Yeah, so boom, that's it for your Star Citizen dev response and updates and things that I saw on forums on Spectrum and Reddit today. What do you think? Are you excited for the sort of combat experience polish that we might see in 3.18 and sort of the more general mechanics getting a bit of a spit and polish there? Were you affected by the 0 Alpha UEC bug, and do you have your wallet back to normal? Are you really looking forward to ship customization again with more variants and components? Do you think it makes sense for Cloud Imperium to go, you know what, we sort of want to get mechanics out, and it's much more complex for balancing if we have too much customization at the moment? Or do you want to see customization in now? To hell with that. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. You're on a plane, it's about to crash. Maybe you're in a jungle and a vicious predator attacks. There's a nuclear war and you're caught short on the toilet. You're drowning in shark-infested waters. How did you get here? What do all these scenarios have in common? That's right, easily preventable with the use of nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. It's like the ultimate survival toolkit, but to aid in internet security and accessibility. Now I can watch my favourite Netflix and anime shows from a different country while I'm lost in the rainforest just before a tiger eats me. Thanks nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. You can get discounts by using the links below. But please note that probably in the case of a plane crash or, you're drowning, NordVPN might not be the most effective solution. Every month we have a Star Citizen ship giveaway. This month we're giving away an RSI Scorpius heavy fighter. This 2-seater powerful heavy fighter allows you to pretend you're in Star Wars with your X-Wing. It comes with a lifetime insurance and access to Star Citizen, so even if you haven't got a Star Citizen account already, you can play the game. To be in for a chance of winning that, just comment on any of my videos made during August. A massive thank you to everyone that subscribed to the channel or just watches my content or comments and likes and shares those videos. It really genuinely does help. And if you want to go the extra mile to help support the channel, you can click on the join button under any of my videos or click on the links to Patreon. It all goes a huge way to help the channel grow and expand. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great time in Alpha 3.17.2, and I hope to see you in the verse.